Welcome to the Generation Elevation podcast, a conscious, connected platform for those who are ready to manifest their dream life. I'm your host, Elise Riley, a former PT, now motivational speaker, igniting empowerment and transformation all across the globe. Here at Generation Elevation, we are committed to bringing you the most inspiring guests who will share their stories, wisdom, and advice to help you progress closer to living a life of your own terms. So it all started about 2 weeks ago when I was sitting on my porch in London, minding my own business, eating my breakfast, and I received a thought. Now, if you're listening to this, you probably have felt the difference between thinking a thought and then receiving a thought. Thinking a thought, you've got to problem solve. You've got to really find a solution. Whereas when you are receiving thought, it's like a meditative state. You almost have the answers come to you. It feels light, it feels easy. It's like a shower thought where you go, oh my gosh, that was the best idea ever. How did I not think of this earlier? It's a different vibration, a different energy. So thinking a thought is usually the question and receiving the thought is usually the answer. So I'm sitting on the balcony and I received this thought, I would love to go on a holiday. I'd love to go on a holiday. And I would love the first part of the accommodation to be paid for. And for me, I never usually think thoughts like this. And it just come to me and I didn't really think much about it. And I just continued on with my day. Little did I know that in that moment, what was about to unfold from that thought specifically. Did I create it or was I predicting what was to come next? Who knows? But I received a phone call later in the afternoon from my beautiful friend, Bree Wilkinson, who I had on my podcast a few weeks ago. So if you haven't listened to that episode with her, definitely go check it out. She is absolutely incredible. And I'm going to continue telling this story and you'll get to know why that is if you haven't listened to that episode, of course. So she calls me and she says, hey, Elise, I'm going to go to Croatia and then I'm going to go to Paris. And if you'd like, I'd love to meet you in Paris and go with somebody because I've heard it's not safe to go on your own. And for me personally, I was also thinking the same thing. I want to go to Paris. However, I was a little bit concerned to go by myself. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I was literally just thinking earlier today, I want to go on a holiday. So she said, hey, I have paid already for the first 2 nights in Croatia. You're welcome to join me. Just come and get your flights. And I was like, oh my gosh. I had 2 in a bit days notice. So that night I was going out for dinner. The day after I was going to this thing called the Henley Regatta, which is kind of like the Melbourne Cup for my fellow Aussies, but for rowing. Okay, so it's super popular in the UK. So I was going to that, and then the Sunday I'd originally planned to just chill because my week had been so hectic. But then this Sunday was then going to be planned for Croatia. So I was like, okay. In the past, I used to get so triggered about last minute plans, whereby when I was personal training, if I didn't have someone booked into my calendar and someone wanted to spontaneously get lunch or dinner or go overseas or on a trip with me, I would freak out. And more than likely, most of the time I would say no. And I would give up the opportunity and say, no, it's not meant to be. It doesn't line up. It's too inconvenient. What about the money? I would have all of these limiting beliefs come up and block me in that moment. And so through my hesitation, I missed out on so many opportunities. Now, you're probably resonating with this. Maybe in your life, you've had opportunities come your way whereby, you've been wishing for a dream relationship or wishing for a certain job or wishing for a certain opportunity, and it's presented itself, but not in the way that you had it initially planned. And so when it comes up, it's that excuse of, I'm not ready yet, or it's just not the right time. So I encourage you throughout this episode to listen to this story and potentially take some notes. And I hope that I can inspire you so that next time when an opportunity does come up in your life, you will feel more encouraged and empowered to take it and to say yes, to take that leap of faith. Because honestly, I wish I had heard this message, this story, when I was in that state of mind. So I meditated on this. I did take an hour or two to decide. I didn't say yes in that moment. I was like, let me think about it. Let me meditate on this. So I meditated. I sat by a tree and I just said, okay, ask my heart, what is going to be the most beneficial right now for my highest timeline? Should I go overseas to Croatia, or would it be more beneficial to stay and work? And my heart said Croatia. Now, for those of you that have listened to Trusting Your Path episode on this show, you would know that sometimes when you meet these crossroads, it can be very intimidating. Fears can come up, limiting beliefs. And so for me, I was like, all right, I've got to trust my heart on this, because sometimes the head cannot see what the heart knows. So I said, all right, I booked my flights that night and organized all my travel insurance, etc. Went out for dinner, did the Henley Regatta the next day, was absolutely exhausted. I got 2 hours sleep, jumped on a plane from London to Croatia. Now, London has been the only solo travel that I've really ever done, and that's been quite easy because I've kind of moved into a grounded spot straight away. I haven't had to worry about too much, but in Croatia, obviously it was different because you're on holidays. So moved, and I was really grateful to have Brie there because she had obviously organised the first part of the accommodation. So we stayed in Split the first few nights, and in this episode, what I'm going to be just sharing with is my experience in Croatia. I'm going to be sharing with you updates about what has been going on in my life, the things that have then just manifested through this vibration of saying yes and trusting myself. And I am actually recording this out of my hotel in Rome. So I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, I have so much to update you on. So let's get into it. Okay, so we stayed in Split the first 2 days. Now, the first night we just got in. There's a beautiful beach bar vibe in Split where you can just sit on this rock face, hire a lounge for the day and just jump in the water. And honestly, that is the one thing that I do miss in London, moving from Australia, is the beach. Oh my gosh. So getting in that water, 30-degree weather, such a vibe. So the next day we went on this blue cave tour around Split, and I kid you not, guys, this boat took us to these beautiful caves that had the most iridescent blue color. It is indescribable, and you must, if you go to Croatia, see this for yourself because it was absolutely incredible. The coolest thing about this is soon as I arrived, angel numbers are everywhere. I literally arrived, got off my plane, and it was 11:11. Quadruple numbers all everywhere on the number plates. This, to me, I've chosen to make this mean that I am in alignment. When I see angel numbers, I am in alignment, baby. And those of you that have been following me for a while, you would know that I receive a lot of messages, a lot of downloads through song. And a lot of the songs that come to me in my meditations, I actually put them in a Spotify playlist because as I put them all together, they are little pieces of a puzzle that are actually giving me a message. And all of these songs, it was from Johnny Cash to rap songs, house, tech, whatever. It is a crazy mix, okay? And I was on this boat tour, and this boat was playing the most random music, and majority, 90% of these songs were on my Spirit Guides playlist. What? I was losing my mind. It was playing rock, then it went to Johnny Cash, and then it went to Spirit in the Sky, and then it went to a song about angels, and then it went to another song that was super housey, and then it was techno, and then it was a heavy bass. And me and Brie were looking at each other what is this playlist right now? But I was just so happy and vibing. It didn't even matter I was just losing my mind at the fact that these songs were I had received in meditation months prior, and months prior, my guides, my intuition, my knowingness, my higher self had already predicted this trip was going to happen. And it's exciting to know this, because if I had known about this trip months prior, I probably would have maybe stressed about it a bit more or worried about it and planned it. And if I had planned Croatia and Brie and I had planned and structured it in that way, it just wouldn't have been the same. And I'm going to share with you why. So from the boat tour, we then that night went out for dinner. We went and got like a Diet Coke because we weren't drinking, met some people from Amsterdam. Then we went and got pizza. Then we went to this club and it sucked, but we met some Swedish people. Then we met some Germans, and I just love like the multiculturalism of all of these areas. Like, I definitely didn't experience this in Australia. So meeting people from different countries, it's actually really enlightening and just so heartwarming actually to know other people and their stories. So that was the first like proper night out. And then the second day we caught a ferry from Split to Hvar, which is about 2 hours. As soon as we got to Hvar, the most beautiful Airbnb, like overlooking the whole city. And in Hvar, there is a place called Hula Hula, and it's like a beach bar. So it's like a bar with the beach. So you just literally go for a swim, come back, have a few drinks or eat or whatever, and then just kind of do that. So I did have one cocktail that day because I was like, I've always said to myself, I don't drink, but if I'm on an island somewhere, then I might have a cocktail, because celebrating the fact that I got myself to an island somewhere, and I was living that manifestation. So I was like, you know what? Let's just do that. So I ended up having like one drink, and the bartenders kept giving Brie free shots. So the whole night ended up to be like this huge day party, and like we were dancing on the tables, and we met some really incredible people from France and had the best time ever. Like, this was such a fun night. The bartenders just absolutely were loving the vibes from us, and it was so cool for me to experience this energy coming from a place of just being sober as well. Like, I am probably going to do a podcast in the future about partying or going out and not drinking or not being involved in drugs, because for me, my entire life, I've never really been involved in that kind of thing. However, when I did go out, I didn't have as much fun. I used to think that I was too shy to have fun or not drunk enough to dance, and therefore that held me back in so many ways, whereas now it doesn't really matter and I can still have incredible fun without anything like that. So I will do a podcast in the future on this. Then the next day we went to another place called Carpe Diem. So if you're planning to travel to Croatia, I'm just giving you all the tips right now. So Carpe Diem is like this little rave island, and it's like a bush doof. It kind of gives me Strawberry Festival vibes. For me, the energy there was definitely different to Hula Hula. It was a lot darker. Like, I didn't enjoy it as much. However, if that is your thing and you're into heavy techno, I definitely recommend like going and checking it out. Like, it is a really cool place. Then the next day, or that night, we were out with a guy from New Zealand and some people from Australia. And they're like, oh, you're going to Ultra? And we had no idea what this meant. We were like, what's that? And apparently everyone from all over the world had traveled to Croatia. Oh my gosh, I've got goosebumps. That weekend for Ultra Festival, which is like a 3-day festival, one of Europe's biggest festivals apparently. And we had never heard of it. We just so happened to be there the week of Ultra. So that night at 2 a.m. while we were out at Carpe Diem, we had booked last minute tickets to go to Ultra. So literally the next day we booked a ferry back to Split, found accommodation, chilled because we were so exhausted just from the late nights. And then literally the next day was Ultra. crazy. I'm like, I've never been so unprepared in my life. The Virgo in me was like, oh my gosh, I can't deal with this spontaneity, but I'm thriving. Like, let's go. Let's just keep saying yes, keep trusting, stay open. I've got this. Let's go. So we started the day with a beautiful meditation, which was so funny because we're like, everyone's pre-drinking for Ultra, and here's us two just meditating and having the best time and getting that like high feeling from just energy. You can actually get that from just meditating. It's so incredible. And I can't wait to share with you a special offer that I've got for you later. Oh my gosh, so much been happening, guys. I'm so excited to be even able to share all of this with you. It's so cool. So from there, we did our meditation in the morning, and we literally went to this like Bali vibe market in the middle of Croatia, found this cute little boutique, and we just like literally bought this whole boutique home with us. We bought our outfits from there, literally got ready, and then got our tickets. And then it was the start of this festival. So people like Steve Aoki, Tchami, Hardwell, Timmy Trumpet, these kinds of people, DJ Snake, were all playing at this festival. So for me, like, I kind of grew up on this like music when I first started listening to more bangers and the Will Sparks, Timmy Trumpet era. Like, that was so me, like shuffling. Oh my gosh. For those of you that grew up with me in school, like, you would know my shuffling days, right? Good Life Festival, shout out to the start of that journey for me. So anyway, I was just absolute vibing this stuff. Like, this music was absolutely amazing, and for me, my soul was just so happy being there, dancing, no alcohol. I was there till like 4, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning, those 3 nights, having the time of my life, dancing with so much energy. We wore slides too. It was so funny because we had not prepped to go to a festival, but that's the beauty of it, right? Like, if we had planned our trip, we probably wouldn't have had time to fit the festival in. So we had made like some amazing friends there, and I can't even begin to describe the feeling that music gives me, and I get why it's such a powerful healing tool, and that's why I've incorporated it in my meditations that I'll be sharing with you a bit later on, like, more information. But music is so healing, and for me, like, I love dancing. Like, dancing is how I move energy in my body, and I'm actually gonna release a course soon that has that involved in it, so you can release stagnant energy from your body via movement and dance, which is so cool. So for me, the 3 days at Ultra was freaking awesome. Like, they're probably the best festival that I've ever been to. We were put on some article on Ultra's page for having the best outfits for day one, which is hilarious because we put zero effort into what we looked like outfit-wise. We literally bought them like a few hours before. So we did Ultra, and then from there we traveled to Dubrovnik, and it was so funny. In the morning of Dubrovnik, we had booked a ferry and everything. We were so prepared. We went and got some breakfast at a cafe, and we literally had probably 5 minutes to get onto this ferry, and the card machine wasn't working. So Bree's like, Elise, can you please try and pay? I'll run over and I'll try and get the boat to wait for us, which is so funny because we were laughing about it later. I'm like, as if the boat was going to wait for us. But anyway, I'm trying to pay for this thing. The machine's not working, and then Bree's already run off, right, with the bags. And then I turn around and I realize my bag's still there. So I was like, oh, okay, like I've paid, I'll go and race over, and hopefully that their boat has been delayed or something. So we get there, the boat literally just leaves, and I was like, okay, so for me, in these types of moments, like, I've missed flights before, I've had these types of experiences, and I know that whenever something like so-called bad happens in life, it is always like meant for you. Always ask yourself, how is this happening for you right now? Everything is perfect. Everything always happens for a reason. If you're a high vibrational being, if you meditate every day, if you work on your energy, you eat well, you're a good person, you put out good vibes, you cannot attract anything bad. It is literally impossible. And you might be thinking, yeah, but like, obviously this could be bad, or what about my situation? And first things first, why are you trying to justify your circumstances and argue for your problems? Two, you may not realize the beauty in what you're experiencing right now. You can never connect the dots forwards, only backwards. So in a few months, years time, you may realize this moment in your life that could be challenging for you. For me, that's minuscule point of missing the ferry. It all happens for a reason. And so we went to a cafe and we're like, shit, like we missed our ferry. I can't believe it. And then I'm looking at Brie. I'm like, whose bag is that? Like, did you bring a suitcase? And she's like, oh my God, this isn't mine. I thought it was yours. I was like, no, I've got mine. Whose is that? So she had actually took someone's suitcase thinking it was mine from the cafe, ran off with it to catch the ferry. I'm like, that's why we couldn't catch the ferry, because if we had jumped on with this person's bag, it would have been a pain in the ass to try and get it back. So we gave the person back their suitcase and they were super grateful. And then we jumped on a bus, which was actually really nice, to then go to Dubrovnik. And then in Dubrovnik, it was super chill and I actually got a little bit sick. I was not like terribly bad, but just like had a bit of a cough from ultra. I'm pretty sure most people did experience that. It wasn't COVID or anything serious, but it was just more of like a not a flu. It was just a cough. And so I had a pretty chill day on the second day of Dubrovnik, and I actually went to the beach by myself and just chilled and did all the Game of Thrones steps, because I'm such a Game of Thrones nerd and I love all that like superhero stuff. And then literally from there, come back to London. So that was my Croatia trip, guys. Holy shit. So big, so much squeezed into just 10 days. Literally, when I got back from London, I was like, oh my gosh, it feels like I've lived a month in a week. Like, wow, that was incredible. And when I got back, like I said, I was a little bit sick and I had this like almost awakening phase. Like it felt like I was experiencing a death rebirth of my personality, my energy, letting go of the old and embracing the new, and saying yes to life more. Like when you attract certain opportunities, experiences, people, like this is all coming through in your energy. And if you're attracting things that you are saying no to, there's something in your energy that isn't in alignment to your yes. So if you're attracting things and you're not liking what you're getting, not liking what you're seeing, it may be beneficial to really reflect on how are you attracting this right now? Like, what is this trying to teach you about your energy? And so for me, these opportunities were coming in through my life, all things that I wanted to say yes to. However, I had this fear of potentially saying yes and then it not working out and worrying. And I realized from a young age that worrying is something that I would do a lot of. I would worry about like my house getting burnt down. I would worry about like walking around at night in the street. I would worry about my parents not coming home. And I was always worrying. And I haven't really done much reflecting on this lately, but I can definitely do a separate podcast on what I discover through my own reflection, because this is still new. Like I'm literally just winging this podcast right now. No script, just live feed of my thoughts, of my heart, actually. Because if I was thinking about what I was saying right now, it probably wouldn't flow like it is. So for me, I was always worrying as a kid, and I notice in these moments where I get challenged to like step out of my comfort zone and do something that I've never done before, worrying does come up, but it's a protection mechanism. It's my inner child that I would need to then go back to and reflect on, do some healing work with her, which I can literally do just straight after this podcast now that I've had this realization. Woo! And then that should be fine in next circumstances to come. I've actually also, oh my gosh, guys. Okay, this ties into literally what I'm about to say next. So in this time that I was sick, I went ghost mode. I was like, all right, I'm just going to stop posting on social media for a minute and just really reflect on how I want to show up, how I want to speak, how I want to share my voice, how I want to share my content, who I want to teach, how I want to give back to society. Like, how do I want to serve? What do I want Generation Elevation to be? And this was like my reflection portal for the last week. It was such a beautiful experience to be sick, because this is literally what it taught me. And in this time, I used it and I went so hard and created my own website. Wow. So proud of myself. I made the whole thing on my own, and I've put up guided meditations as a product that you can buy, channeled specifically from me, by me, live, no scripts, with sound frequencies implemented throughout. So the frequencies will target cells of your body specifically dedicated to each area of healing that needs to be done in that meditation. I've got inner child, guided ones that are all about grounding, energy elevation, energy protection. Super important when you're traveling to protect your energy, by the way. Heartbreak healing. I've got manifestation. So many meditations that are now available and live on my website. I literally just launched it this morning and I did a live on my Instagram. So if you are keen to go check that out, you can buy 5 and get 20% off the order. Or if you buy 10, you get 40% off all of them, which is so exciting. Oh my gosh. So excited. And I also got a special celebratory offer because I want to give back to you guys. So for those of you that have been on my stories, you may have seen this already about my course, Manifestation Mastery. Now, this is probably the biggest course that I have ever facilitated in my life. This is huge. I have been working on this for a while, and to finally birth it into this reality, into this human vibration, is so exciting. So it's an 8-week course, 18 modules starting on the 8th of the 8th. So it's a huge manifestation portal. And basically Manifestation Mastery is going to be all about how you can master manifestation, what it is, how you can reprogram your thoughts, reprogram your brain to be a manifestation master, to attract in your desires, to be a magnet to your goals rather than trying to chase them all the time, rather than trying to make things happen, letting things happen for you. Are you sick of coming second place when you know you deserve first? Are you sick of working the 9-to-5 grind, thinking that that's the only way that you can become successful? Are you trying to manifest that dream relationship but keep getting into toxic ones and toxic cycles? Do you have people in your life that are just boring and triggering you, or not really refreshing when you meet up with them? Are you feeling tired, drained when you're surrounding yourself with people in your life at the moment and you want to attract new people? Are you wanting to attract and receive that new body, that dream body that you've been working towards? Are you struggling to get results in your health and fitness journey? Have you reached a plateau with your performance? This is what my course is all about. Finances. Are you sick and tired of only getting the same bracket of income each month? Do you want to increase your financial freedom? I'm going to be talking about money mindset. I'm going to be talking about health and fitness and performance, visualization techniques. I'm going to be talking about career. I'm going to be talking about how you can receive opportunities, build your confidence, trust yourself enough to say yes to the unknown, and then therefore attract new. I'm so excited to be sharing this course with you guys. It's going to be insane. So the details for that are all on my website. All you have to do is go to generationelevation.com.au and you will just see Manifestation Mastery in the shop page, or you can go to the link in my bio on Instagram and you'll see the direct landing page for Manifestation Mastery. Now, the first 25 people that buy a 10-pack meditation for my website, buy 10 of my meditations with the 40% off discount. First 25 people get my course 90% off. Manifestation Mastery is an 8-week program that starts on the 8th of August that is usually $888. If you're one of the first 25 people to buy this, the 10-pack meditations, you get the course Manifestation Mastery for $88. So you get 90% off my course. It is a huge deal. One of the biggest deals I've ever done in my life. So make sure you get onto this. If you're listening to this podcast right now, go to the website, get on that, because I've already had people purchase. So those numbers will sell out quite quickly. So thank you so much for supporting me. And this is how I want to give back to you, by literally giving away this course basically free. It's like 90% off, guys. So go check that out when you have a spare moment. So that is what I've been working on while I've been sick, while I was in London for the last week. Then my housemate Kylie, she went on a cruise while I was back, and she said to me, Elise, like, my friend has given me free accommodation to go to Rome, but I can't go because I'm on this cruise. Would you like to go? And I was like, what? Yes? Oh my gosh. Literally, again, manifested, like I said at the start of this podcast, accommodation paid for. So I was like, okay, yes, all right, yes, 100%, let's do it and see what happens. Trust myself enough to say yes to the unknown. This was new because it was very much by myself. So I was like, all right. And literally I ummed and ahed on it a little bit. I hesitated a little bit, and it's funny, the more you hesitate, the less the opportunities you have, I think. This is an example, right? So, for example, the day before I went to Rome, my beautiful friend Adam, who I've also had on my podcast, Adam Holyoke, he said, Elise, I'm going to the UFC tonight. Would you like to come? And I said, yes. Oh my gosh, I would love to come. Straight away, I answered. Straight away, I got the opportunity. And then Adam said, would you like to invite a friend? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll message them and ask. So I messaged a friend and asked if they wanted to come. And they said, like, oh, what time is it? How much is it? Like, I'm not sure. And they hesitated. And even though it was only like an hour or two that they hesitated, they slowly replied back. I didn't give a very clear answer. The opportunity then was given away. Adam said, okay, well, if your friend's not answering, I'm going to give it to someone else. And he gave the ticket to someone else. So for those of you that are listening right now, where in your life are you hesitating to the point where you're missing out on opportunities? What would happen if you just said yes and then made it work? For example, Manifestation Mastery, you will feel the pull into this course. You will know, your heart will be like, yeah, and your head will be like, oh my gosh, this is maybe a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe it's something that you've never done before. However, that hesitation may cause you to miss out. Where else in your life have you missed out because you hesitated? That's my reflection or thought provoke for you here and now. So I went to the UFC, and then 1 a.m. when I got back that night, I booked my flight to Rome, literally got up the next day, quickly adjusted a few things on my website to make sure it was ready to go for you guys launching today. And then I get on this flight, go to Rome, get on the plane. I'm sitting next to a beautiful human being who lived in Rome once upon a time. We start talking about energy, manifestation. He works for Netflix. I was like, what the hell? You just can't make this up. Of course, I'm sitting next to an absolute legend on the plane. And he's like, okay, where do you have to go? What we can do is I'll take you on the train and I'll take you to where you need to go. So then that way you don't get stuck and you don't have to pay hundreds of dollars for a taxi from the airport. So this person got on the train with me and helped me all the way to get to my hotel. And I am so, so grateful. Literally so seamless, so easy. And it just showed me that I was exactly where I meant to be. So I checked into my hotel, and yesterday, now we're kind of all caught up. I thought it was Tuesday and it was actually Monday, and I leave on Wednesday. So I smashed out everything I could possibly do yesterday in Rome. So I went to the Trevi Fountain and I made a wish. Now, write these down. If you're planning on traveling to Rome, these are all the places you need to go. I went to the Pantheon. That's something I just kind of walked past, and the Piazza Navona. Then Castle St. Angelo, I walked past all of these, just had a look from the outside. Roman Forum as well. Then I did a tour at the Colosseum. So I actually went inside, skipped the line, and had like a tour around the stadium. And then I went to the Vatican Museum as well. And the Vatican Museum, if you do not have a tour, the wait time can be up to 3 hours. So I'm walking around, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't book a tour. I'm going to have to wait in this line for 2 hours. And I was like, no, actually, you know what? Like, I'm going to find a way to skip this line right now. Like, I am going to find a tour or something. And then I had someone come up to me and say, hey, like, are you wanting to skip the line? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I work for the museum. Like, did you buy a ticket? I was like, nah, I didn't. And he's like, okay, here, follow me. I'll show you. So he showed me this tour place that led me down this street. I was like, oh my gosh, where am I going? Like spirit guides, angels, whatever, please protect me and make sure my energy is safe right now. And then anyway, went into this tour place, got a ticket for like 60 euros, and then literally got a whole tour, skipped the line for the Vatican Museum, went into the Sistine Chapel as well. Then I also went into St. Peter's Basilica, and all these places people wait like hours and hours for, and I went straight in. And honestly, guys, like if you go to Rome, like you must do like the Vatican Museums and the Sistine Chapel and like this St. Peter's Basilica, because I would say that was probably the most beautiful experience in the world that I've ever seen. Like, just in regards to museums, that was top tier. The art and the meanings behind all of the pieces, absolutely beautiful and incredible. And just the abundance that are on those walls. Like, you look up and not a single crevice is missing art. Like, every single space has some sort of gold art. It is just mesmerizing and incredible. So definitely go there if you do get the chance. So that's what I got up to yesterday. And then on my way back, like I literally did 32,000 steps in slides. So I've got some hella blisters today. But I stopped in this beautiful Italian restaurant and definitely tucked myself into some spaghetti carbonara, some like slow cooked meat, fried artichoke, and tiramisu. I literally ate like 2-person meals in one, like a whole day's worth of eating in one sitting. My stomach was so full, but I was like, this is so good. It's so worth it. When in Rome, right? Calories don't count, what they say. But yeah, they do, guys. Just make sure you're getting in those steps. So I didn't really eat for the rest of the day. After that, I went back to the hotel, chilled, and then kind of got my website ready for today when I did launch. So that was my day yesterday. This morning, I launched my website and then just had breakfast up on the rooftop of the hotel, and it just is so beautiful. After this recording, I'm just going to go for a walk in a couple of the parks, and then tomorrow I fly to Paris. So tomorrow I'm going to be going to Paris. I've always had a vision of me sitting at a cafe looking at the Eiffel Tower. Like, that's something that I've always envisioned, and deep down I've always known that I was going to be going there by myself. And I always had this feeling that I'm going to meet somebody or a person there that is important for my path. So who knows what's going to happen in this journey. I'll keep you posted, but I've always had a feeling about Paris, like something is calling me there. So I'll keep you tuned in to what does happen. And that is all from me in regards to updates. I hope you enjoyed just like this general chit chat of what I've been up to the last 2 weeks. Been absolutely mind-blowingly amazing and crazy and fast. But I also believe that success loves speed and manifestations don't wait around for anyone. So if you're not ready, you're not ready. So how can you get yourself confident enough and trusting enough in you to say yes and figure it out later? Make sure to definitely go check out my generationelevation.com.au website. Have a look at all the amazing products that I've got up there, my meditations, webinars, ebooks, all for you to easily access. And remember, guys, the first 25 people to buy the 10-pack discount, so 40% off for 10 meditations, the first 25 people to buy that get access to my Manifestation Mastery course on the 8th of the 8th for 90% off. It is a dream deal. This is like something that I've put my heart and soul into, and you will know whether this is for you. You'll feel it in your heart. You'll feel it in your soul. You will know. And if you aren't sure on how to make decisions, whether that be for Manifestation Mastery or for if you want to travel the world like me, or if you just want to know what you're having for dinner, go to my episode on Are You on the Right Path? Is a recent one. I speak about and take you through a process of a meditation that guides you to get out of your head and into your heart space. Because like I said earlier, the mind will give you excuses of why you can't, and the heart knows everything. The mind will try and protect you, and the heart will elevate you. So that is all from me. Like I said, I love you guys so much. Thank you for being along this journey with me. I'm so excited to record the next episode from here because I'll be in Paris most likely, and I get to update you on the adventures that I've had from now until then. So much love, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for being a part of the Generation Elevation community. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to leave a 5-star rating, written review, share, and tag me on Instagram at elise.riley. Until next time, keep loving, keep learning, and keep rising.